Hi folks, Tim Neumann with Soft Light Studios, and it's time for another composition, seeing and being seen video. In today's video, we're going to actually have an in-person interview in the studio reviewing a couple of images from a shoot we did this past weekend. Not only will I be there with some images on the large screen, but Lorie McQuirt will be there as well, who, as you may or may not know, is my business partner and another really accomplished photographer that was at this shoot. So join us as we talk through some of the challenges and the outcomes of this field shoot. Well, we're here in the studio today, and we've got some pictures from our most recent shoot up on the big screen. And with me, I have my fellow business partner and photographer, Lorie McQuirt. And how you doing today, Lorie?
Good, how are you?
I'm doing good, thank you. The other night, we were out doing a photo shoot. You remember the Image Master shoot, right?
Yeah, on the bridge.
Yeah, down on... the Town Street Bridge, yeah, absolutely. And as you can see here, the Town Street Bridge attracts a lot of different creatures that like to watch sunset in Columbus, Ohio. And it was kind of funny because I didn't think it was going to turn out to be much of anything.
No, the sky didn't look very promising.
Yeah, and it was a little off to the west. There was a little bit of color and some light breaking through. And I think we all kind of collectively said, you know, if we wait this out, maybe the clouds will go from west to east, it'll open up and we'll get some color. And I think we did.
Yeah.
It turned out to be a pretty good sunset by Columbus standards, for sure. One of the things I wanted to go over tonight in our discussion here is the different compositions that we saw, but you also faced a couple of struggles out there when you were shooting, and I think you could have, a lot of photographers would have said, it's not working, I'm done, right? And
I would have when I first got started.
yeah? What changed that?
I've stuck it out and I know better to try to find a different solution now.
That's really cool, and I mean, I think that's true. You know, if you just hang in there, eventually you can find a way to make almost every scene work. So let's talk through, I think you brought 5 images to share with us tonight. Let's talk through your experience and tell me kind of how things unfolded and what you did and how you dealt with it.
Well, I wasn't real excited about the shoot to begin with because we've shot there numerous times, but
I can see that.
But I wanted to work on my long exposure. So I took my Tamron 24-70 and my Tamron 15-30. And the first image that you're looking at is my 24-70 because as I put the 15-30 on, I realized I didn't have the right filter. The 15-30 has the beveled glass on the front, so my Nietzsche doesn't fit it.
My guess is probably vignetting pretty bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me. That's frustrating too.
So I knew off the bat that I wasn't going to be able to work with the long exposure with the wide angled lens, so I put the 24-70 on so I could get my Nietzsche filter out. But as I shot the first image here, I didn't like the composition. I was trying to include that deer, but I wanted the water bank to pull me into the bridge, and you can't even see the bridge.
In case you guys are wondering, that whining in the background is another photographer that's waiting for a workshop. No, actually, it's Lorie's dog Brutus, and I don't think he likes the 24-70 image either. So there's 3 of us that are kind of questioning the 24-70 in case you wonder. All right, so should we look and see what you did next?
Sure.
Okay. So, yeah, there we go. It's all about the right keystroke. Okay.
Second image, I went ahead as it started getting darker out. I threw the 15-30 on, and I put my ISO all the way down to 50, and I closed the aperture down to 22, which was the smallest I could go, trying to get the longest shutter speed that I could possibly get. But as I looked at it, it's no different than anybody else's image that I've seen shoot from that bridge. It's the same perspective, and I was looking for something different.
Yeah, I can see that. I mean, I think it's a fine image. There's nothing wrong with it. And my guess is this is straight out of camera. You probably haven't done any editing with it yet.
No.
Didn't excite you enough to edit. I can,
No.
yeah, I could get that. I mean, sometimes when I get an image, I'm like, well, I've seen that before. I don't get all hung up on editing. So I get that. That makes sense to me. So what did you do from there?
I kept the same lens on, but I decided I always have you in my ear when I'm trying to think what I can do differently, and you're always telling me to step back and look. look at everything before you start shooting. I just didn't see a different perspective from the bridge, so I decided to try to be creative and do camera movement. Oh,
wow.
I didn't like this image either. I cut the top of the buildings off.
Okay, I can see that. But you wouldn't necessarily know that when you're first composing. I assume you probably started at your widest field of view and zoomed in.
Yes.
That's what it looks like.
Yes.
Yeah, so when you're looking, that's it, folks. When you're looking through the lens and you are framing that up, you see a real wide view, and then you zoom in and you cut stuff off. And as you can tell, Brutus still has questions about this image. He is not convinced yet, but it's a good start. I like the concept.
Thank you.
Let's see where you went from here.
I twisted the lens too quickly. So by doing that, I had a lot of movement, and you couldn't even, if you didn't know where I was at, you wouldn't know that it was buildings back there.
Gotcha. I can see that. So obviously you reframed your composition.
Right.
In order to avoid cutting off the tops of things as you zoomed in. I like that. That's obviously the right move. And I think it also helps solidify the leading lines from the corners. But I do agree with you. If I hadn't been standing there, I wouldn't have known where it was at either. So yeah, I can see that. So we got one more to take a look at?
Yeah. I slowed it down.
Oh, awesome.
So you can still see the buildings, but you got the long exposure that I could possibly get without a filter, and the camera movement, so all the lights just kind of streaked out, and I think they pull you in pretty nicely to the buildings.
I agree. It's clearly downtown Columbus. If you're from this area, it's immediately identifiable. I love the movement in it. It really works well. It builds the leading lines for you right into the center. So from a composition perspective, I think that works really well. And I don't know if you were going to mention it, and I don't mean to steal your thunder, but you really got a pretty good nod to rule of thirds here too. You got a good waterfront in the bottom, sky in the top, buildings in the middle, and then from left to right, there's some pretty good geometrical cut-ups of the rule of thirds there too. So I think, when you describe where you started and where you ended up, talk about sticking with it and turning lemon into lemonade. That's really, really cool. Fantastic job.
Thank you.
Thanks for sharing that with us.
No problem.
Well, I'm going to bring up the hind end of the train here and show you some stuff I did. I don't think it's going to be as good as Lorie's image, but you're already here, and quite frankly, you should stay till the end of the video because the price of the ticket is the same. So this is my first image, and I'm sure you're suitably impressed. I'd say the exposure might be a little bit off, so went a little bit brighter. Still not quite where it needs to be. A little brighter, a little brighter, a little brighter. What you're really looking at is images that are shot with the ND64 NITSI filter, which is a 6-stop neutral density filter. And I'm basically working at putting together two things here at once. One is long exposure imagery. I really want those clouds moving in the background. I think that makes a huge difference. But I'm also going to composite this together as an HDR. So there you go. There's the HDR version of this brought together. I still think it needs some work. I'm not happy with the noise in it. And the water movement was really strange because of the way the buildings were blocking the wind. So I see this as a work in progress, but I'm really happy with it.
It's nice. How long was that exposure?
Well, they started off at the shortest one was 30 seconds, then it was 1 minute, 2 minute, 4 minute, 8 minute. So that's the sequence that comes together there. Obviously, when you're at blue hour and you're shooting long exposures that long, you don't get to try it over and over and over again. If you add all those up, you're really kind of running out of time pretty quickly. So we got a few more thoughts to wrap up here. Thanks, Lorie, for coming in today and going through this. I think it was really great. You did a fantastic job of sticking with a difficult situation.
Thank you so much.
Well, there you have it, folks. A little behind-the-scenes discussion that hopefully takes you inside the mind of a couple of working photographers and kind of gives you some insight into how we work through problems and we come up with solutions to give us the images that we creatively envision in our heads. Thanks for tuning in. Hope you found this video useful. Feel free to subscribe to the red subscribe button down there below so you can keep up to date with what we're bringing to you on a regular basis here at Softlight Studios. Thanks for joining us, and remember, as we always say, learning equals skills, Practice equals mastery. We'll see you out there.